Today is the 17th of August and I'm making one of my summer visits to the Islington garden, and surprise, surprise, look at how healthy the trees are. So much growth, so much new growth. In fact, too much. All this is new growth. Look at the beautiful color. Lush green. Maples are looking beautiful too. Not a single blemished leaf. I've never seen maples looking so good. And so it goes on. So this tree has been thinned out. It was just a bush, you couldn't see the trunk. So we've cleaned that. Now the next one we're going to work is this one. And as you can see, it's just a blob. And I'm going to work on it and show you how I thin this. So here I'm working on these trees that we planted at Islington 2 years ago. When we planted them, I think I remember telling you the story of them forgetting to water it for 6 months and most of the trees died. But those that lived, we managed to revive them, and look at them so healthy again. I'll try and dig up some old pictures of these pines when they nearly died. And they were in such a sorry state, I thought it would never recover, but they are ever so healthy, as you can see. So I come here once every 2 months or 3 months to prune the trees. Today is the 17th of August and it's in midsummer, and this is the second time I'm going to prune. I did some pruning back in June, but I'm pruning it again in August. This one is not too bad because you can still see the tears, but this one is typical of the Bovernensis. By the way, these are mostly Bovernensis pines, and you can see it is so dense it's almost like a ball. If you walk around, Jack, you can see from different sides, every side is very dense, absolutely dense. So what I'm going to do is show you how to prune it to get some form back into the tree. As you can see, what we created originally was like a bonsai image, but we're going to emphasize the bonsai image more by creating spaces between the trees. So although this is a garden tree, I am literally doing Miyawaki or the garden tree pruning techniques. So anything that is dangling down, I get rid of, and the object is to create flat paths. Left to their own devices, all these trees will produce upward growing shoots, and that's what I don't want. Pruning these trees is an art. It's very hard to teach someone how to do it, because when it comes to doing it, if I left someone to do it, they would do it their own way, but they would be scared stiff how much to prune. So again, what I'm doing is just taking off upward growing shoots and downward growing shoots, but I'm also going to thin the trees. As with most bonsai pruning, it's not just about hacking the extremities. You actually have to go inside the tree and thin it out. So I'm trying to create a pad. Now that bit I don't need, so I'm actually taking branches out. So the next level is this one. You notice I'm wearing a glove because I'm using a Felco. Felco secateurs are very dangerous. They're so sharp that you can easily cut your finger. So I don't want to do that. So even if I cut through the glove, it will give me some protection. As with all bonsai pruning, the secret is to show the trunk as much as possible. Once you begin to show the trunk, it will begin to look like a bonsai. Now, since I last pruned it in June, It's grown about 2-3 inches, but because this is a Bovernensis, which is a dwarf Scots pine, they don't grow so vigorously. The tree is so vigorous that a lot of the foliage is very dense, and if you don't let light in, the insides of the tree dies. If Jack comes a bit closer, you can see how I'm actually creating flat pads. Anything growing upwards I'm taking off. See over here, it's growing upwards, I take that off over there. Anything growing upwards I'm taking off. I'm creating a space between the different pads. Fortunately, these trees are very vigorous. And when you have a vigorous tree, then there's a lot to prune, and you can prune quite comfortably without fear of killing the tree. If the tree is weak, then don't prune that hard. When we prune these trees, I try to keep going round and round all the time to make sure that it doesn't become one-sided. If you keep concentrating on one side, you can lose track of the overall shape. So I'm coming on this side now to see what I need to do from this side. So again, all the downward pointing branches I'm going to take off. I want to prune enough without making it look too bold. We're not doing any candle pruning or anything like that. This is certainly not candle pruning. That was done in the spring. So vigorous. Now I've got to ask myself, do I need this one? Let's think carefully. Now this one is dangling downwards, you can see over here. If that's dangling down, I don't need that, so I take this off. Bovernensis buds back much more easily than the ordinary Scots pine. Although Bovernensis is a Scots pine, but it's a dwarf Scots pine, so the growth is much more compact. Now this looks like 2 tiers. Got to be careful not to make too many tiers. That downward pointing branch, I've got to ask myself, do I need this or not? I will decide in a minute. Let's thin this first. These contorted branches are rather intriguing, so they add character to the tree. So although this is breaking the line of the pad, I will let it come down because that branch is so interesting. So I will keep that. Okay, so this side I think I've dealt with. Looking quite nice there. Let's see what I can do with this side. Branch is coming out. Lots of weird branches. So giving it a very thin look is nice. You don't want it looking like a ball or a bush. So give it some elegance by thinning it. But the question is how much to thin. That is a matter of judgment and taste. See, this is very nice. You can see the branch. But here you can't see the branches. I'm just trying to reveal the trunk and the branch. You will notice if you come closer here, you can see that these branches were wired at some point, and the wire is now embedded in the trunk or branch. I'm not going to take it out because there's no point taking it out. It'll only kill the branch if I do so. But because it's calloused over the wire, the tree will grow quite happily, and it'll just give a lot of character to that particular branch. So it doesn't worry me. I don't think the tree will suffer one bit. So you can see a little bit of the branches, but I got to show more of the trunk. We'll carry on pruning. I don't think we can record everything, but I will show you a little more when I've done some more. So I've now finished pruning this tree, and you can now see through the tree, and you can see the beautiful trunk, like a multi-trunk, and it's very much really like a big bonsai. All these contorted branches. Anyone would give their right arm for this as a bonsai. Look at it. All the contorted branches have been created by wiring. You can still see the wire marks on this tree, and wired back like this to form the pads. So this has been done over many, many years. I've been training this tree for the last 30 years, and that's when it was sold 2 years ago for this project. So this is the typical sort of work we do. Now this one I don't have to prune much because, as I said, the shape is still very nice. You can see the pads and the crown is there. So I won't do much to this at all. This is in very good condition. So we'll leave this one. And there are a few more to do. We'll deal with these again. I'll take a before shot and an after shot of this. This again is an ordinary Scots pine. Let me show you how we do this. This is an ordinary Scots pine. It's not a dwarf Scots pine, not a Bouverensis. And it's a very, very old tree. It's got a beautiful trunk, but it's got a rather unusual shape. So because it's so dense, it doesn't really look very, what you call it, Japanese tree-like. So let's see what we will do. So again, my approach is to make it much thinner. So I'm going around generally thinning the tree. That's all I'm doing. So these are the pads. The pads are perfectly formed. And I'm going to thin the pads a bit so that they don't look so dense. Unfortunately, there is no science to doing artistic pruning. Because it's artistic, you have to go by feel. It's one of those things that I can't even teach my own staff to do it, because you have to have a gut feeling for what you're doing. So I can only just show you what I'm doing. So as you can see, if you look this way, you will just see how I'm pruning it. So you see how dense this is. Now this is very dense, so I'm going to just go around and pruning it back. This is the pad. This is just one pad. But the pad needs to be thinned. Anything going downwards, I'll take off. This again, you see how dense this is. Fortunately with pines, as long as you leave green on it, you can prune quite hard and it will bud back. So don't worry about just pruning it. Look at this bud back here. If you come close, this is what I mean by bud back. You see from the old wood, it buds back like that. So no worries about pruning hard. So I've now thinned this branch. This branch has been thinned. Now let's tackle this one. I always have to check on the overall look of the tree. That's what I'm trying to achieve all the time. The overall look must be aesthetic. See how much I'm taking off. I will be taking off quite a lot. Now this thick branch, if you come close you can see it is very thick. So I'm going to thin that a little bit. But because this branch is spoiling the overall conical shape, if you go back there, Jack, this branch I think is spoiling the line. So I'm going to take that one off. A bit drastic, isn't it? So I'm always governed by the overall conical shape of the tree. Every time, whether it's bonsai or Japanese garden trees, that overall conical shape or the dome shape is the key to creating nice looking bonsai. So this is the left hand side done. Now I'm going to do the other side. See these branches are hiding the beautiful trunk. And because it's hiding the beautiful trunk, I'm going to take some of these branches off so that it doesn't hide it too much. You can see how much I've already pruned. There's a lot that I have pruned. This, as I said, is an ordinary Scots pine, and it is quite vigorous. In fact, it's exceedingly vigorous. When I've done all the pruning, you'll see how much I've taken off. This tree looks nice from both sides. In fact, it looks nicer from this side, which is the back, as it does from the front. And the branch structure is what gives it the character. Contorted tree. It's no longer just a bush. If you don't show the trunk, it just becomes a big bush with no character whatsoever. So that's all I'm trying to do. Eventually, I think I can make a little dome shape there. It's too dense on this side, so I'm just going to thin this a little bit. Not a little bit, thin this a lot. Just pruning by feel. They say there's no science to it, no logic to it. No logic, I mean in the technical sense, but I get a feel for what I'm doing. So if you look around, look at it. That's the amount I've pruned. I can put a lot of branches out. I think for the future, come on this way, Jack. I'm going to explain something. I think for the future I may take this branch off. If I take this branch off, it may give it more character. In fact, why don't I do this? I've got a saw here. All right. Now the problem I have on hand is what to do with this branch. I know that it may look okay if I just cut that off, but I may decide to do it in a couple of different stages. That means make a gin with this piece rather than cut it off completely. Let's leave that to become a gin, driftwood, and then see how it goes. And then eventually take it off. I don't know. It's one of those things that many people will argue. I know that when I post this thing on YouTube, people will tell me you took the wrong branch off. But I think on balance, I think I was right. I don't think I need this branch. So off it comes. The moment of truth. There you are. Taken a lot off that tree. Now it's no longer just a bush. No longer just a bush. I'm not sure about this driftwood there. I left it there, but I don't think it does anything. Well, next time I come I may change it again. But it's got very dramatic feeling to the tree. So that's that one then. And just look at the amount of pruning we've got just from one tree. We've taken so much off. So there you go, there's another little exercise. It's done. So today we've spent about 5 hours working on these trees, and I've videoed some of it, but look at it, we've just brought these back to shape and they're looking very, very good.